The next component that we're going to watch and have modeled is called shared reading. With a shared reading, we are able to not only be able to model what good reading sounds like, but this time we're going to teach some skills and strategies. Always with a good objective in mind. We want to be able to use a book multiple times, but each time we do that, we're thinking, what is the objective that I want to be able to get across? What are the skills and strategies that I want my students to be able to understand and be able to do when they are independently reading? With a shared reading, again, we can use a variety of genre. And with that variety, we will enable children to be able to see that we are reading across curriculum. We are reading recipes. We are reading how to read a math problem. We are going to be able to take our cueing systems and our strategies and apply them to any kind of content. But it takes good classroom instruction in order for children to understand how to use these skills and strategies. Depending on your grade level, you may use a picture walk to support the first reading of a new story, or you might use a book walk. A picture walk lends itself well to a piece of literature that has a lot of picture support, and I'll be demonstrating that for you in just a moment. If you are working with a poem or you are using a chapter book, then you need to do a book walk. The summary, the overall idea of the story that still paints that background knowledge for children. It draws from the semantic cueing system, so they really will have comprehension. But you don't have pictures to be able to discuss. Think of yourselves going into a bookstore, deciding, I want a new novel to read. How will I decide what I want? You pick up a book, you look at the inside of the book jacket where there's a wonderful summary. It gives you just enough information that can really plant the seed. Is this a story that I will enjoy? You'll do the very same thing for your students. Also realizing, depending on what book you are going to be using, you must help children to understand the vocabulary so that, again, comprehension will be in place. I'm going to demonstrate using the same book 3 different skills that I can share with a classroom of children. And again, you will have that child in your classroom who will say, we've already read that book. And you'll say, thank you for reminding me. However, we're going to enjoy it for this purpose today. Using the same story that I used for the read aloud, we're going to enjoy Kevin Sherry's story entitled, I'm the Biggest Thing in the Ocean. The first strategy that I want you to understand is that I will be doing a picture walk. Not reading text to you or with you, but talking the picture in order to put, again, that background summary in your minds. When children have that background information and they're reading independently, they can draw from that semantic cueing system, also called meaning, to be able to say, does that make sense in the story? Therefore, we're building their independence as good readers. So we are going to hear this story about the giant squid who is saying that he is the biggest in the ocean. When we do a picture walk, I will be questioning my students so that we can have conversation about what they're seeing in the story. Again, I'm not reading the text, but in the book walk, I will be using the language from the story. Implanting that book knowledge is the first step, along with looking at pictures of reading. So here's our giant squid, and he's saying, I'm bigger than these shrimp. And I can see all of the shrimp in my picture. Here he is saying, I'm bigger than the, what do you think these are called? Clams. You are right. Good for you. You're doing what great readers do. You are looking at your pictures. And here he's thinking, I'm bigger than the crab. And indeed, he is bigger than the crab. And here, he's bigger than the jellyfish. Again, on every page, we're saying that same wonderful repetitive language. He's bigger than the turtles. Again, I didn't look at the print, although I used the same book language. So my students would have that language implanted in their mind So if I asked them to do a first read as an independent reader, they would be able to be very successful, checking their picture and then bringing in the visual cue, the graphophonic or letter-sound connection. Using picture or semantic cue and graphophonic cue, we put them together and we are reading. I could use this story for a second strategy, and that is to look at punctuation, reading punctuation. The skill identifying, in this case, periods, how to say stop at the end of a thought. Because, again, the story lends itself very well with every page having a period to end the sentence. So I could enable my children to understand when we use a period. Especially important when we see the upper grade students in grades 4 through 6 perhaps writing one run-on sentence that becomes a paragraph because they neglect to use punctuation. So very important to teach punctuation through the storyline. Lastly, we could use this story again on another day to teach contractions. Again, the story seems very simple, but we can teach the contraction of I'm because every page says I'm bigger than these turtles. I'm bigger than these crabs. The word I'm is a wonderful way to teach children how to take two words, I am, and make it into a contraction. So in this small demonstration, you can see that we can use the same book to use for a semantic cueing system, to teach punctuation, to teach contractions, and to reinforce, just for the joy of reading, how good reading sounds. Shared reading, a time we teach skills and strategies.